Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, I'm sorry I'm on the avatar. I wasn't intending to be on the avatar. I was going to get up and do my hair and look really nice for this video. And of course, I overslept and I had to go to the supermarket because last night I was up very late as far as Spanish time is concerned, which is where I live. For those of you who don't know, I'm based in mainland Spain. And I stayed up last night to watch the court appearance of this guy, Patrick Stephenson. He is accused, of course, of the murder of Samantha Murphy in Ballarat in Australia. And yesterday was the very long awaited court appearance of Patrick's. This all happened back in February. And although Samantha's body unfortunately still has not been found because Patrick is not cooperating with the police, and he will not say where Samantha's body is. He was still, regardless, he was arrested because the police feel apparently they've got unprecedented amounts of evidence, digital evidence, to prove that Patrick committed this offence. Now, Patrick is he was 22 when this happened. All Australian boys. Father's a famous Australian football player, comes from a good family to all intents and purposes, lives locally, is an electrician, sporty, nobody had any reason to think, I don't think that he'd done, there is another offence that he'd done the year before where apparently he was driving under the influence, his motorbike, and crashed into a tree or something. We haven't really had the full details of that, but nothing happened. He didn't, there was no, as far as I can see, that was never really taken seriously enough. So we've seen some videos of him. We know he likes to take drugs. We know he likes to drink a lot, go out with his friends, but that's not uncommon for young people, is it? So it's not necessarily an indication that he's a murderer. So basically, he was arrested for this offence. And since then, the police have been searching for Samantha's body. They've found her phone. They found some credit cards and the wallet that she kept her phone in. They found some bits and pieces. But actually, Samantha's remains have not been found. Her clothes, as far as I know, have not been found. But I believe the police are continuing to search, doing targeted searches. Anyway, in the meantime, Patrick was arrested, probably to the big shock of his family and his girlfriend, because his girlfriend Meg, who you can see on this picture, though, this is his girlfriend Meg. So, he had a relationship with her. What if he is guilty of this crime? Why did he do it? Why did Samantha went out for a jog? She's a 51-year-old woman, went out for a jog because she's training for a marathon, went out one Sunday morning and just never came back, bless her. Just never, ever came back, as happens so often, unfortunately. So this is her husband, Mick. Samantha has 3 children, ranging from really quite young to sort of young adults. This is Mick. She has 2 daughters and 1 son. This is Mick. He went to the court hearing last night. You could see him on the link. Now, the thing is, I watched it on the link. I do have a recording of it, but I'm not allowed to show it anybody. So, you're not allowed to. But the only reason I did a recording was so that I can play it back and remember, because you can't remember. I have taken notes, and it's the notes that I'm going to read from you today to let you know what happened. But just in case for the future, if I forget what was said. I've got to say it was a complete fiasco. Do you know, is that the way court hearings go in Australia? It wasn't very good. It was totally confusing. People left before it was actually finished, and then that caused a problem later on with something else that the judge wanted to go through, but the person that wanted to be there wasn't there. They'd left. They had to go off and look for them, and then they couldn't find them, so they had to end the link. He had to hear other cases in the meantime. I mean, it was a total fiasco. It was just absolutely crazy. It's supposed to be a court hearing. Where's the professionalism? I have to say I was completely, and we didn't learn much more about the actual charges. We were expecting to maybe learn more about what evidence the prosecution had, etc. We didn't. So I'm going to go through my notes in a minute and tell you exactly what we did learn. Let me just say hello to everybody. Hi, Julie. Hi, Quizzical Girl. Hi, Maria. Yeah, I believe. Oh, I would just wish I'd. I mean, it's because of that. So I didn't get to bed till about 3 a.m. this morning. By the time it had all finished, and so yeah, overslept this morning. I was going to wash my hair, put my makeup on, and of course it hasn't happened. Again, it hasn't happened. So I ended up going to the supermarket. When you go out and you think, I hope I don't see anybody I know. And you do, don't you? When you think, oh, I'll just pop out and I'll just sort of, put my hair up and sort of put a bit of lipstick on, and I've got like joggers on and a jumper, and you just thinking, please don't let me meet anybody I know, please. And anyway, I didn't meet anyone I know, so that was a good thing. But unfortunately, it means that I'm not really dressed to do a live. But believe me, I'm dressed. I mean, I'm not dressed up to do a live. Now tonight is the members live, and I will definitely be dressed up for that. I don't mean dressed up in a disguise. I mean, I'm going to put some makeup on. I'm going to do my hair because I've got time to do that today. If only I wasn't so tired. Now, yeah, because I have no classes today. So those of you who know me know I'm a Spanish teacher. Today I have no classes because I was supposed to have classes, but the people that I've got classes with, they're away today. So I don't have any classes. So I'm planning on doing quite a few videos. But tonight, the members live, tonight we're going to talk about UFOs. Sorry, I'm just branching off a little bit, but there's all this talk about UFOs, isn't there, in America, etc. So we're going to talk about that. I know a lot of you are interested in that. That's what we're going to talk about in the members live tonight. So now let's get back to Samantha. So yeah, Samantha went off for a jog, never came home. Her family haven't been able to bring her home, give her a decent burial, a goodbye, a farewell. It's just awful because this twonk is not cooperating. Now, the first thing I want to say is, oh my God, he looked completely different. Now, this is how Patrick looked more or less at the time that he was arrested. And then at the last court hearing, again, I can't show you a photo because I'm not allowed to. I do have a photo of him. At the last court hearing, he still looked quite fresh-faced. He definitely bulked out a lot. He looks like he's been eating too many prison pork pies, or maybe he's just been in the gym every day. I don't know, but looked big on the last one. But last night, oh my God, he looked absolutely massive, and I can't decide if it's massive in a good way, if you like, in a muscular way, or massive like that he has been eating too many prison pork pies. But you see, on his previous pictures, before he was arrested, you could see he was muscly because he's an athlete, plays football, etc. But he was more wiry, what you would call wiry, so quite slender. But you can see that he had muscles. Now he's like really built like a brick. you know what. Even you could say, and the difference in his appearance this time from last time. Last time he was he was clean shaven, and this is a drawing that they did of him last time, but I've added a beard to it because now he's got one of those massive bushy beards, but you know, the ones that don't reach up to your hair, so it's like almost, I'm not sure, no moustache, just this bushy beard. And he does look now more like that photo that I felt he didn't look like last time. He looked much more fresh faced when you actually saw the live photo of him. Now he is, you know, he does look older than his years because he's still only 23. I suppose prison changes you, I don't know, but the beard maybe makes him look older. And it's one of those big bushy ones that don't meet up with the hairline, like, or sideburns, and no moustache, no. Yeah, it's a very strange beard that he suddenly developed. And that really, he did look like that, and he was wearing a white t-shirt. Big guy. I mean, he completely filled the sort of what's the word, the picture, you know. He's all big shoulders, big muscles, you can tell. So he's definitely been working out there in prison, as I say, maybe eating a little bit too much, I don't know, don't suppose much else to do really. Anyway, and something else I just wanted to tell you is who was there, like, because the watching the link, you know, there were a lot of reporters there. I mean, you didn't know that they were all reporters initially because you just get the names up there, and also there's people up there that were for different cases in that same courtroom. But as far as Patrick supporting Patrick was concerned, his mum Whitney was there watching. Also, his two sisters, Amelie and Stephanie, I think they're called, they were there. And I think his girlfriend, well, there was somebody called Meg there, and his girlfriend is called Meg, so I don't know. So he's got quite a lot of support. But it was he only appeared by video link. He wasn't in the actual courtroom. The hearing was in Ballarat Court, and Mick turned up. It was very emotional to see Mick there. Mick was there in, let's have a look at Mick again. Actually, I might be able to find an actual picture of him in the news. Yeah, so in this newspaper article, they've put this picture of him. This was an artist impression the last time that he appeared. So, you know, I don't know why they've put that in here, because they should do what I've done and added a bit, because he does look completely different to that now. Well, he never looked like that in the first place, to be honest. So anyway, this is Mick outside the courtroom. He came in and sat down. He still looked completely bereft to me, actually, I have to say, his face. He looked, you know, so traumatic. All this waiting, you know, it's a nightmare. It's just so frustrating for us, isn't it? So many people getting frustrated about all this waiting, and it's not even our loved one. You know, and this guy, Patrick, is just sat there not cooperating. You know, it's just a waiting game, isn't it? A waiting game. And for Mick, it must be an absolute torment because he just wants justice for Samantha, doesn't he? So then Patrick appeared. Let's have a look back at him again. So it started off, and there was like an introduction of, you know, the people that were there to represent. There was someone there to represent the police, and Mr. Gibson, I think he was called. And he was the one that caused all the problems, because for some reason he left very promptly. And then when they wanted to talk about some other things that the judge wanted him to be there for, he was nowhere to be found. And so it messed up the whole thing. There was Cicciello, a lady called Miss Cicciello, and she was She must have been for the prosecution, I presume. You know, it wasn't, I'd have to listen back over it to hear exactly, it wasn't that easy to hear sometimes. And then they introduced Stevenson's lawyer, which was a Mr. Allen. He was totally rubbish. He didn't seem to know what the hell he was talking about most of the time. The whole thing, I thought, was really unprofessional. It's just like nobody really, even the judge, nobody really seemed to understand what was properly going on. You know, it was just like they were just winging it, you know, for a court session. Just seemed ridiculous to me, very unprofessional. But anyway, and then, of course, Patrick appeared with this huge sort of beard. Anyway, it was said he wouldn't get bail, no bail for him, because what he's decided to do, what came out of this hearing, is that he has pled not guilty to the charge of murder, and he's chosen to take a quick trial or a fast track trial and go to the Supreme Court. So that's what he's chosen. And then the judge asked him what his plea would be, and he said not guilty. So he is definitely pleading not guilty. Hi, Nightbot. Yeah, that's it, Maria. An Amish style beard. I was trying to think what sort of beard it, because sometimes you see like Muslims with that kind of beard, and then I thought maybe he's converted to Islam or something. But yeah, the Amish use that beard as well, isn't it? He looked very threatening. I've got to say that it's the first time, because I think all of us, when we look at him normally, it's like, gosh, this is what a murderer looks like. Hi, Joanne. Normally we've sort of looked at him and he doesn't look like what you would expect a murderer to look like, does he, on most of his photos from before? But I've got to say, this is the first time I've seen him where I thought, yeah, it does look like a murderer. He looked very threatening. I think it was just the size of him and the beard, and just he looked much older than he has on, when he was clean shaven in the previous one, even though he was still quite stocky then, you could see it stocked up, it bulked up. It still didn't look that threatening when he was clean shaven. He looked like a sort of Bambi caught in the headlights, but he didn't look like that on this one. It was very eerie looking at him, because for a lot of the time when the judge and the bloody prosecution and all them, when they were pontificating around, because it went on quite a long time, but there wasn't a lot sort of said, it was just all, oh well, I don't really know about that, Your Honour. And then the judges, oh well, it was all, none of it seemed to be, do you know what it felt like? It felt like they were just winging it, it's just like, not that they'd prepared for this this court thing. It was just so unprepared and so unprofessional, and it was, well, I don't know, Your Honour, let me just check that, and nothing seemed to me to be organised properly from anyone, including the judge. The judge seemed all over the place, to be honest. So I hope the Supreme Court will be a little bit more professional. Now, I don't know whether I'll be able to watch the Supreme Court one. I don't know if you can watch that on a link or not, so I don't know. But anyway, so the next court hearing, so no bail. And then it just said he's chosen to stand trial. He pled not guilty. There was no update on custody management. And his next hearing is a little bit sooner, thank goodness. So 27th of November, later on this month, there's going to be a trial hearing. So I don't think it's the actual trial starting, but it's something to do with the trial. So when that first bit was sorted, Mick got up and left. Mick seemed to be with someone who, maybe he was a lawyer. It was someone with a briefcase and a clipboard and looked efficient. So I don't know if that was his lawyer or a friend of his or whatever. But anyway, Mick then, as soon as that bit was finished where Patrick pled not guilty, said he wanted to go to the Supreme Court, Mick got up and left. And then what's this I've got here? He got up and left, and then the guy who was supposedly representing the police, this Gibson guy, he got up and left, said he was going, but then they carried on talking about other things, about the other charges he's got, because of course he's got the charges of crashing into a tree on his motorcycle that we still, we've been waiting to hear the details of. So they were talking about that. And then the defense said that those other 5 charges, that now they have no opposition to those charges being released to the media, because at the last court mention, it was only 5 minutes or so, the judge said he didn't have time to talk about it. Was the same judge as the last one. He said he didn't have time to talk about it. And so he set this court date for an hour so they would have time to talk more. But, they still didn't talk about it, because then once he started wanting to talk about it, the defense said they had no opposition to it being released to the media, the details being released to the media, as long as some of it was redacted. And the bits that they wanted redacted from the charges was his address, his telephone number, and the registration number and license details of, I think it was a motorbike, though it may have been a car. I don't know, because we still haven't had all the details. So the defense guy said that. He said, we've got no objection to it being released as long as these things are redacted, which is fair enough, his address, his telephone number, the registration number, and his license. So the judge said, okay, and he took all those details, and he made so that is going to be heard on the 2nd of December. So that's a different thing from the murder charges, and that's going to be heard on the 2nd of December. So it's all a bit quick. At least we're not having, because we had to wait 3 months for this load of rubbish that happened last night. But at least we haven't got to wait so long next time. So the 2nd of December to hear about those charges, and the 27th of November for the next thing that's something to do with his trial that he's chosen to do at the Supreme Court, and he's chosen to take the fast track, and he's going to plead not guilty. So let's I try and be quick, because do you know what, Joanne? I know the cases that I follow. I mean, honestly, if I didn't work as well doing Spanish classes, I would be on much more often with updates and things. Unfortunately, I haven't got, this is not a full-time thing that I do. So, my Spanish classes are my bread and butter. This is almost a hobby, because I would be interested in this anyway. But once we start on a case like Samantha, we started with Samantha's case right back from the first day it happened. And I will be following it through to the trial and the either guilty or not guilty verdict. And of course, so I do keep an eye on everything that's going on with Samantha. And we've been so starved of information about Samantha's case, isn't it? It's the police play everything very close to their chest, which is fair enough. If this is how it results in, a proper verdict, then good. It's like, literally, there's just nuggets of information every now and again, isn't there? And quite often I know there's a lot of you, a lot of my viewers, a lot of my members that are always writing to me and saying, what's the latest about Samantha? We haven't heard anything about Samantha for ages, because we care about Samantha now and her family, because we've been invested in this case right from the beginning. So, so there he was. So he sat there while all this was going on. It was very unnerving. He was just sat staring at the, because he was on video link from wherever he's being held. He was like in this. If you imagine behind him there, that was him staring at the camera. Honest God, that does look like him now. It's funny because this drawing looked nothing like him the last time that he appeared. But now I'm looking at this, and this could have been him on this video link. And behind was like a long corridor with some bookshelves and a window and things. And that's obviously where he's being held. But he never moved too much. You know, he was for all the time he was there, fidgeted a little bit. He looked at his watch a couple of times. What is it with these prisoners and watches? Like Stephen Stearns wants his watch, doesn't he? Why do they want the watch? But I suppose in prison there's no clocks. I suppose they want the watch to just check on. I don't know. What time are you measuring while you're in prison? He's not coming out anytime soon. The soonest he'll be coming out is if he does get found not guilty when it comes to the court thing. And of course, we still don't know what evidence the police have got. They said they've got an unprecedented amount of evidence, but we don't know any of it yet. So anyway, it's good that he's going for a speedy trial, really, because otherwise, God, it could go on forever, for years, couldn't it? So he just sat there staring at the camera. It was very, very unsettling watching him, because I always think when you see these people's faces, if he's guilty, that'll be the last face that Samantha saw, and it's horrible. And when you see the eyes like that, and I'm presuming that if he did do it, he was probably drunk or stoned or high or something. Poor Samantha must have just been terrified. There she was, just going for a jog, looking forward to brunch with her family that morning. And then she bumped into evil. She bumped into some evil. If it wasn't him, it was somebody. So what else happened then? So then the judge said, okay, we're going to release these documents to the press. And then he asked, and this was really, I found it quite disconcerting because, of course, you're watching and you can see there's a lot of other people watching. I could see that his mum was there, as I say, and his sisters and probably his girlfriend. But you can't see their faces, they're not video. Everybody turns the camera off, obviously. So you can only see the names of the people that are watching. So you don't know exactly who they are. You just know that there's quite a lot of people watching. And then the judge said, is there anybody here from the press who wants to make a comment? Oh my God. And then all these people started saying, and I thought that must have been quite disconcerting for Patrick, because before all these people, one after the other, started from Sky News, from the Herald, from the Age newspaper, from ABC News, from all these Australian news agencies, started saying, yes, we're here and we'd like it to be released or whatever. And it was like, I'm Spartacus. Once one spoke up, they all started speaking up. So that was that must have been quite disconcerting for him, because I think up to then you could have imagined, and for his mum, of course, and that, up to then you could have imagined that it was just the courtroom, Patrick Stephenson and you. So you knew there were other people there watching, but you could only see their names. You didn't hear them or see their faces. So, it's like quite sort of anonymous. But when these all started speaking out, it must have given, because I sort of was a bit taken aback, because you start thinking, oh my God, there's all these reporters here, because not all of them had on their link description that they were reporters. They just had names or unverified, you didn't even know who they were. But once they started speaking out, you realize the volume of news, how newsworthy this is, how the media have been starved of news. The mainstream media starved of news about this case, just like us. they've not been able to find out what's going on. Nobody has. So that was quite a moment, I thought. And I thought, I wonder if Patrick thought, oh my God, all these people, and there must be a realization comes then how big a story this is. It's such a massive story in Australia and all over the world, but especially obviously in Australia and Ballarat. Hi, BF. Hi, David. Yeah, this sketch. Oh, thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. That's very kind. This sketch, Joanne, this is the sketch from the last time he appeared, but I've put the beard on because he's got one of those Amish beards now, or, those beards, those big bush. God, it was a massive bushy beard, but one of those that doesn't, no moustache, and one of those, that doesn't, what's the word, reach the hairline. It's just literally this beard here. Like quite often you see it on Amish people, but also on like radical Muslims and things. You see it, don't you? Or maybe it's a fashion. I don't know. I'm not up with the bush ranger beard, maybe quizzical. Hi, Yvonne. Yeah, maybe a bush ranger. It's strange because last time he was completely clean shaven last time, and he looked much more fresh faced. He didn't look so sinister. He looked very, very sinister. I really did. He made me go cold. That's the first time that I've looked at him. And as I said, I did see him on the last court appearance, but that is the first time that I've looked at him and really thought, oh my God, he is sinister. He looked sinister. So I don't think it was a good look for him, to be honest. I mean, he was very polite. He just said, in fact, he didn't speak much. He just said, not guilty, Your Honour. That, he just pled when the judge asked him what his plea was. And the judge said to him, I believe you want to go to the Supreme Court, blah, blah, blah. And he just said, yes, Your Honour. And what's your plea? Not guilty, Your Honour. That was literally all he said. He didn't really say much. So thank you again, Joanne. That's very kind. Thank you. So what happened then? So then the judge said, after all the media had spoken, let me just put Samantha back for a while because we have to keep, we need to remember who is the real victim here, which of course is Samantha. So the judge said, after all these, media people spoke, the judge said, yes, the charge sheets should be released. And then the defence guy, who was absolutely rubbish, I'll tell you what, if he was my defence guy, I'd be trying to get another one because he didn't seem to know what he was talking about. He said that they were released, and then there was this conflab about whether this was a duplicate request. Load of waffle, and you're thinking, well, let's have some of the evidence. Because I was hoping we might get to hear some of this massive amount of evidence that's against him, but maybe we didn't because he's going for the fast track Supreme Court thing. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about how Australian courts work, but I've got to say, if that's an example of the court system, that Ballarat one, it was rubbish. Honestly, it was so unprofessional. Anyway, so he said on the 2nd at 10 o'clock. So then he said, on the so we've got, was that the one that we talked about before? So we've got the 27th of November, a trial, something to do with the trial. And then on the 2nd of December at 10 o'clock, we've got another one of these court things, a mention, which when the charge sheets will be released. So we've got to wait till the 2nd of December again. So it's all just waiting, isn't it? Waiting to the next time. As somebody made a comment on the Facebook page, and I thought it's a bit like that, like you get in I don't know, soap operas, where the drum roll and it's like, oh, find out next time what happens. It's like, for God's sake, how frustrating that must be for the families and never really find out anything proper and having to wait all the time. It's sad, isn't it, that they have to go through all that. Years sometimes, isn't it? Years they have to wait and then just hope that they get the right verdict in the end, because, you're not guaranteed that you will get the right verdict. So obviously, I know that's why the police are being guarded, because they want to end up with the right, they don't want anything to prejudice this trial, because at the end of the day, they don't have Samantha's body. So although they can still prosecute someone for murder without the body, it makes it that little bit more difficult, doesn't it? So they've probably got to be even more careful until hopefully one day they do find Samantha's body. And it may be something that Patrick will use in the future if he feels it's not going his way. If he is guilty, he feels it's not going his way, he's still got this bargaining chip, hasn't he, about the body? Unlike Stefan Stearns in the other case, another case we're following with Madeline Soto, he doesn't have any bargaining chip because Madeline's already been found. And all, of course, the data and that's on his phone. Whereas Patrick, the only thing that Patrick has got, if he is found guilty, to maybe bargain for something, is the location of Samantha's body. And maybe that's why he's hanging on to it, hanging on to that knowledge till he's certain that he's going to be found guilty, maybe. I don't know. So he did. So through all that, Patrick, as I say, he just stared at the camera with his bushy beard. He stretched a couple of times. He looked at his watch. He didn't look sort of irritated or anything. He just was expressionless, really, but just staring straight at the camera, just looking directly. Anyway, then the judge wanted to talk about something else and wanted this guy Gibson back. And of course, he'd gone. This guy who I think was something to do with representing the police, he'd gone. So the judge said, well, where is he? Because I think I'd like him to be here while I'm talking about this, whatever it was. So he stood Patrick down, in the sense of, he said to Patrick that, you're still there, because he was planned in for an hour to be there. So he said, you can turn your mic off. And he started seeing other cases. He started dealing with other cases while the defense guy went out to look for this Gibson guy. So the defense guy, Alan, he said, all right, I'll go and look for him. He goes off to look for him. Mick had gone by now. Mick had long gone by now. The judge stands Patrick down, tells him to put his mute on. Patrick's just sat there looking at the camera. And the defense guy goes off to look for Gibson. And he's gone ages. And while he's gone, the judge starts dealing with other cases, while Patrick still sat there as well. I mean, it was surreal. It was surreal. How was that guy allowed to leave before the thing was finished? You don't, how, because he said, oh, I'm going now then, or whatever. And the judge went, oh, okay. And then next minute, the judge is saying, oh, no, I'd really quite like him to be here. But it was him who gave him permission to go. Bloody, it was so unprofessional. So as the defence lawyer goes off to look for Mr. Gibson, we then get, the other cases, which, I can't even remember what they were now, because obviously I wasn't really paying attention to them. But these poor people, so like, I think it was like a driving offence. I can't remember the details, so don't quote me on that. But they've got all, the world's press, like, watching him for something that's probably quite inconsequential, because everybody's there for the Patrick Stephenson case, and this poor guy who's I don't know what, let's say he's been driving without a license or whatever. I don't know what it was, but nothing like murder. He's there and everybody's watching his case being discussed. But anyway, never mind. So that was surreal. Because in the meantime, Patrick's just sat there glaring at the video. So, yeah, very, very strange. Now, something that occurred to me, his hair looked darker as well. So, like on the previous video, his hair looked quite a lot lighter. The previous court appearance, which was 3 months ago, of course. And I wondered, is it because he's been out of the sun for so long now? Is he one of those where his hair goes lighter with the sun? It looked very dark. He looked so as dark as this. Whereas in the previous court appearance, he didn't look so dark. So, but you can see that is actually quite a close resemblance to him as he is now. And of course, this is how he was before. So he's really changed. He has really changed. Anyway, I expect being in prison, he's had to bulk up a bit. He's probably, you're in there in prison with probably a lot of hard men. I don't know that Patrick is a hard man. He's been an athlete and this, that, and the other. But was he really? He's in with the big boys now. He's in prison with the big boys now. So he's had to make himself a big boy, I think, and he is a bloody big boy. That's for sure. Yeah. So they heard the other case while they were waiting for the police representative to come back. Oh, and then the judge got all arsey over another case as well. So the judge was whinging about things, Patrick just staring at the camera. And then the defence guy comes back and says he can't find this Mr. Gibson. So after us waiting for about 20 minutes or whatever, the guy comes back and says, oh, I can't find him, can't contact him. So he's not, so they had to just sort of, the judge couldn't do what he was planning to do. It was, honest to God, it was a total fiasco, I think. Total fiasco. It's an insult to the families of people that are murdered or whatever to have to sit through all that crap of watch them all not knowing what, one didn't know what the other one was doing. None of them sounded professional, not even the judge. I thought it was awful, to be honest. It's felt like they haven't got a clue what they're doing. The judge was all over the place. The defence guy was everyone was all over the place. And Patrick just sitting there staring sinisterly at the camera. It was a very surreal experience. So I'm hoping, for the Australian justice at the Supreme Court is a bit more professional. Because when it comes to I know it's, Ballarat is a small place, I suppose. I don't think it's that small, though, is it? And you would expect professionalism in a court, wherever it is, really, wouldn't you? You talk about people's lives, even if it's not as serious a case as murder or whatever. When people go to court, either as a witness or as the victim or as the perpetrator, they all deserve professionalism and how much do these solicitors earn, for God's sake? Most of them are charging maybe 150 euros an hour or something, or dollars an hour. And they're not even acting professionally. They can't even get their act together. God, it's really angering because being a lawyer, it's probably one of the most highly paid jobs that you can imagine. So you do expect professionalism. If you're stacking the shelves at Tesco and you're on minimum wage, I bet these people there that are more professional than this mob, watch. Oh, God, it was disgusting, I think, the way that they dealt with it all. And the judge, how much is a judge earning? You think he could at least prepare the day before and know what he was talking about. How can you come into a courtroom and you can't even remember what happened at the last one? I mean, obviously you can't remember, you deal with a lot of cases, but that's what notes are for. That's what assistants are for. That's what stenographers stenographers are for. So if you've got a day in court coming up with all these different cases, thing you do before you go in there is just have a look and see what happened the last time. He didn't even know what had happened the last time. He was doing duplicate things. There was no preparation. It was awful. It was awful, I think. So let's hope when it gets to the Supreme Court, they're a bit more efficient, a bit more professional. It did sort of made me think, oh my God. Now it's a bit in Spain, in our local courts I've been in, interpreted for people, and that's a bit of a funny place as well. They don't, like, the judge doesn't dress up in a suit and what, they've got their trainers and jeans on. I don't like that either. No, maybe it's my age, but some things, serious things like court appearances, they should be and judges, solicitors. There's a standard, isn't there? There is a standard, I think, but what was I going to say? Have you not been well, BF? People saying, I hope you're okay today. Have you not been very well? Sorry, I'm just reading the chat now. Yeah, hopefully the Supreme Court will be a little bit hopefully surely the Supreme Court's got to be more professional. Now, as I say, I don't know if we'll get a link for that. I don't know if I'll be able to watch that, but I think hopefully Ninchi, True Crime, she said she might go to the actual hearing. If it was nearer, I'd go, but it's a bit of it costs quite a bit of money to go to Australia for that hearing, but I would like to see this trial. I really would like to see it and see the evidence that they present. So I'm not sure if we get a chance to see that, if there's a link for that, or maybe they don't allow it in Supreme Court, but I don't know. Oh, David. 2 years ago, you witnessed 2 women slugging a Carlsberg special under the benches in court. Oh, dear. Well, the thing is, definitely in courts, you're going to see a lot of different people, aren't you? And oh, dear. I think, I'm just old school, obviously, just standards. Do you know what I mean? For the family as well. Mick was there in his suit, in his jacket. He knows that you put that you courts are serious places. He's probably, well, the judge, he wasn't a young man. Do you know what I mean? He was older, so he should know better. Anyway, if I thought my future lay in the hands of either my future or the future of the person that's done something to my loved one rested in the hands of that court, watching what a bloody waste of space it was, I wouldn't be happy at all. You'd be pleading for it to go to the Supreme Court, but I don't know. Yeah. Where's the efficiency? To me, whatever job I've done a lot of different jobs in my life. I've been a cleaner, I've been a babysitter, I've done airport runs, I've obviously been a teacher, I've worked at Social Security, any job that I've ever done, whatever it was. Maybe that's an ethos that my dad taught me. Coming from a working class family, you put your all into whatever you do. And it doesn't matter if you're cleaning the toilets, or if you're stacking the shelves, or if you're a judge, or if you're a lawyer, or what you are. You take your job seriously for the time that it's just, I don't think people do these days. And those are serious jobs. Do you know what I mean? Why do you go through 6-7 years of training to be a solicitor, and then do they just think, oh well, I'm just getting paid this anyway, so it don't matter if I have a clue what I'm talking about. They just felt like they were off the cuff. Everything was off the cuff, like not prepared properly. None of it felt prepared, even what the judge was doing. So it was a very strange thing. And that's got to work in the perpetrator's favour, I think, because the more inefficient they are, Patrick's probably just sat there thinking, oh, God, I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. This is great for me. It's better. Surely I think that's to his advantage, not to the advantage of the victims and their families. Anyway, that was my impression. If I could show it you, I can't show it you because I'm not allowed to, but if you could see it, honest to God, you would be amazed at how unprofessional the whole thing was. And so waited 3 months for this. 3 months. And really, I mean, we're a little bit further on because we know that he's going to go to the Supreme Court and he's going to plead not guilty. But we don't know any more about any evidence or any, like in the American trials. Normally by then you'd have some idea, when it it's obviously completely different in Australia. I know in the UK you don't get to hear much until the trial, so it's probably going to be more of a UK based system, I would imagine. Is it? Australian system would be based on the UK system. Really, America's got its own system, hasn't it? They just do it their way. And in Spain, you never get to find out anything, to be honest, even after the trial. In Spain, it's just like total secrecy. But yeah, maybe we'll get to find out more when it actually does come to the trial. And if he's taking it for a speedy trial, maybe we'll have to wait for as long as we might have had to do. But I don't know if they have, like in America, when it comes to the disclosure phase and they start giving out, information as soon as they release it to the defence. I don't know. We're sort of in a bit, we're in a bit in the dark, aren't we? But what can we do? What can we do? All we can do is wait. And it's, for us, it's frustrating enough, but we are not Mick and the family. I just, I honestly, my heart just breaks for all these people that are waiting for things. It's like sometimes you really do feel like sometimes, don't you, that the victims are just not considered enough, are they? That's how it feels to me. Why the victims are always the ones that seem to suffer more, don't they? Look at the Richard Allen case, the Delphi murders, what those families have gone through, and everybody's sticking up for Richard Allen, not sticking up for 2 murdered girls. It just amazes me. But anyway, don't get me started on that. I'm trying to leave that behind because, just gets me angry. Okay, so now there was I'm really going to talk about this now, but there was a big development again in the Sarah Sharif trial yesterday. The father now, after confessing, then saying no, it was Baynash, the stepmom. Now he's taking responsibility again, so there'll be some developments on that coming up. I've got quite a lot of things I want to talk to you about. I think what I'll do today, because I've not got classes, and maybe I'll be able to make some videos, that I can release. But tonight is members only live, and we're going to be talking about UFOs. We're going to have a break from true crime. We're going to talk about, it's just fascinating, this at the moment in America now, openly talking about these UFOs. I'm going to tell you about the UFO that I think I saw and that one that a friend of mine saw. Or, think about UFOs. It's a bit like ghosts, isn't it? You see something or you hear something or something, and then you talk yourself out of it. I think there's people like, no, it can't be. But seems like even the government now are saying that, yeah, there are UFOs. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Anyway, listen, thank you so much for caring about Samantha. This is, the crux of all this is, I'll give you one more look at this. This is similar to how Patrick looks now. But this case is all about this woman and her family, Samantha. We want justice for Samantha. Might be a long time coming, but hopefully it will be coming. But also what we'd really like to see, isn't it, is that her remains are found and brought home to her family. So her family can put her to rest properly. It just must be awful to think that your loved one is just lying out there somewhere, and just exposed to the elements, etc. And, I know it's just, if you've had a funeral of some kind, whether it's a burial or a cremation or whatever, it's just knowing, being able to bring them home. It's a big thing, isn't it? It's a big rite of passage. That's why we do funerals. All cultures have some kind of a funeral, don't they? And this is because in human nature, that's what we want. We want to say farewell to our loved ones. It's always important to recover a body, isn't it? And to give it a proper farewell, give your loved one a proper farewell, one way or another. And that runs through all societies, all cultures. So when you can't do that, it must be a horrible feeling. It must be an awful, awful feeling. Okay, so a little candle for Samantha. And again, just to hopefully bring her home to her family. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Also, thank you, Joanne, for the super sticker, which I don't know if I can put that back up again. Maybe I can find it again. Thank you to Joanne for the super sticker. Thank you so much, Joanne. Let me go back to comments. So I think, David, Karen still thinks he's innocent. I think have a good day, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you tonight in the members live. And I'll probably see you before that, actually. Maybe not live, but I've got a couple of videos I want to make. So take care, and I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.